Good morning. We're holding now Ois Zayin in the Maamar Basi Ligani. Starts with Yesh L'Kasher. Just to do a recap of where we're holding, just a little bit of a sikkum. So the Maamar started off the Rebbe Till was making a sikkum, an explanation from Ois Aleph to Ois to Perek, basically Yud Dalid. And he started off he just made a recap of the first 13 prakim, Basi Ligani, that first he explained the idea of the coming down to this world. And even when the Liki comes into this world, it doesn't change. Not like not like Koyach, that when Koyach comes in this Mislabish and Nivroim, there is a change. Doesn't change. And he explains that through the coming down into this world, even though it comes Behalim, but through the Avedas Yisrael, through the Aveda V'yid, the is revealed. And then he explained, he brought down the from the Alter Rebbe that the three Lashedas of Chayis, and Kayach. The Mittel Rebbe explains that these levels of Chayis, and Kayach are one is lower than the other, which means that Koyach is separated from its source, and that's why when it comes down, it can be concealed because it's nivdal from its makar. Mashenk and and Chayis are connected to their source, and that's why and Chayis are gilei, their revelation. The difference between and Chayis is that since it's much higher, it comes in a makiftik way. It's not mislabish. And Chayis comes be slabish in a pnimistik way. Now, since even though Chayis comes in a way of islabshus, but since Chayis is in a way of revelation and it's connected to its source, so even when it is mislabish in that thing, it doesn't change. That's what we explained in the beginning. Then the Rebbe explained in the beginning of Perek Hey that in other places the Chayis Alikis, that there's a fourth level of Chayis in godliness, and that is the level of name. And he brings from the Baal Shem Tov that the name of a Nivra, or the name that it's called, is basically, that's the Dvar Hashem, which is Mechaya, that thing. And then he brings from the Rav Magid, the Pasuk, Kol Asher Yikra Le'odam Nefesh Chaya Hu Shmai, that the name of a Nivra is actually what gives it vitality. So the Rebbe says, we have to understand, how does that fit in what we explained, that Chayis is the level of So you're saying that Chayis is the level of but then there's another Chayis, which is the level of shame. And he explains that and shame are two polar opposites. Shame, name, is concealment. It's Helam. And is the level of Gilei. And then he explains that, this is the last thing we said, that Chayis and Ivraim are called shame is because there's a certain mile of shame legabe but since shame is the level of Helem, so that only comes down, is going to explain that only comes through All right, that's basically a recap till Eis Zayin. She says like this: Yesh L'Kasher Inyan Zeh, and we can connect this idea, that the mila of shame, the mila of a name over and Chayis. The mila of the netzutzes that were refined in Mitzrayim, that in the beginning it was a Helam and Hester, and through the Yidden refining the netzutzes in Mitzrayim, it brought it to a level of Gilei. This is like a name. Even though a name is Behelem, in other words, that we're explaining that and Chayis is more Gilei, and Shem is concealment. Nevertheless, there's a Maila of shame Ligabi why? Because dafka through shame do we get the etzem. And this is what the Tzemach Tzedek writes Benegeh to the pasuk Vahi b'shalach pari esam. The lecheda, as the Tzemach Tzedek asks, Havalei the Meimar, it should have said, the lecheda Havalei the Meimar, the pasuk should have said, Es Yisrael. The pasuk should have said, Vahi b'shalach pari Es Yisrael. When Pari was sending out the Yidden, what's this lashon of nation? Umau es lashon emus. What's this idea? What's this phrase saying Vahi b'shalach pari es is lashon like, just like you have when you have coals, so when you say oimemes, that's like when you have coals which are like extinguished and you don't really see the fire. So when you say the lashon of am, it doesn't. It shows really on a expression that they don't really have a connection with the king. So the Tzemach Tzedek asks, what's this lashon of Vahi b'shalach pari esam? Why not say Yisrael? Mevar, so the Tzemach Tzedek explains, Shaydei Yisrael begolas Mitzrayim, Mevar shal Yisrael begolas Mitzrayim ksiv. It says in regards to the Yidden in Mitzrayim, the pasuk in Nevuah Hosea says, Uzrati ali ba'aretz, that I planted the Yidden in the land. Omer Azal, and the Gemara learns out that klum adam zerei sa ela kedei lahitzik kama. A person doesn't plant a sa, just you don't invest $1 to make $1, just to turn money over. The purpose of investing a sa is in order to get a much greater return. So when the Yidden went down to Golas Mitzrayim, it was in order to obviously gain and attain a wealth. It's like it's known and explains in Teres Achsidus. Why is Torah mitzvahs called with the name of planting? The mitzvahs are the what does it mean? The mitzvahs are like planted for the Yidden. Shenemer b'hem kisiyu atem li eretz chayfetz. Yoketeres abal Shem Tov shebechol echa vechem Yisrael ish eitzaris nalim bedugmas eitzaris sheberetz hagashmis. Like the Baal Shem Tov explains that every Yid has treasures and very high treasures, like treasures in Gashmis. And what's the Avodah? The Avodah is you have to just reveal it. You have to plant it. Al Yisrael. This is going on the Yid down over here. The way the Yid, the Neshama comes and is mislabish in the guf. By said dafka nasat smicha. So dafka through that, then it can grow. So the same thing about derech zeu gam benegel azrid Yisrael b'golos Mitzrayim. Same thing with Hashem planting the Yidden in Golos Mitzrayim. Shizeu, even though this is a very big Yedida, it's b'shvil atzmicha. The purpose of why Hashem plants us in Golos is in order that we should grow. Hainu b'shvil ha'isafa shenasa b'hem aidei bira netzutz shemitzrayim shayi b'tchila b'tachas hana v'ester. This is that it should be a refinement and an addition to the beginning of the netzutzas that were Helam and Hester. Shadafka aidei zen it tastes of ili godel yeser. Dafka through the Yerida, we gain a lot more. And this is al derech like a name, that even though a name is Helim and is Gilei, but nevertheless, we're saying that it's dafka through the name that we're able to get the etzim. However, now, even though there's a mila of shame over nevertheless, at the end of the day, shame is Helam, it's concealed. Now, so how do you reveal the level of shame? This is dafka through the level of Er. In other words, Er is Megala, the premise of everything. And from this is understood also the Chayis Aliki in every Nivra. Since the vitality, the godly vitality that comes in a level of shame, a name, is concealed, therefore, even though we're saying that there's a mila of shame over Eid and Chayis, nevertheless, nevertheless, you still need to have the level of Er, which is Gilei. Right? Deizem is Gale Gam Achai Sheb'Chinas Shame, and through that, through Dafka Er, you can be Megala also the level of shame, and then when shame is not anymore in the way of Helam, and it's in the way of Gilei, Yeshnam Shtei Milas, you have both Milas, which is Shigama Etzem Sheba Hashem Ba Gilei, that the Etzem of shame comes to the level of revelation. Right? And through this, it's Shayach, it's possible to have that the shame is complete. As the Gemara says that in Psachim, that the way that I'm written is the way that I'm read. As we know, now, even though we write Yud Kei Vav Kei, but L'Asilavei, we're going to be able to write that. In other words, we're going to be able to say it the way we write it. V'Akisei Shalom, and the chair is also going to be complete. So the Kisi is going to be Shalom, the Shem is going to be Shalom, B'Yachadim Shleimus Ha'am, together with the completion of the nation. Shleimus HaTeira, Shleimus Eretz Yisrael, Shenikras B'Shem Eretz. Why is Eretz Yisrael called Eretz? Lefi Shirotz Alasis Ritzinkena, because it does what Hashem wants. When we say Rotz is not only the lashon of wanting, Elagam lashon Ritza. It's in a way of like running. Hainu Demiyes Eretz Yibchinas Malchus Yibchinas Helam V'Hester. Since Eretz is the level of Malchus, which is the level of Helam V'Hester, so Shalachein Tzrichem LaAveda the Kabbalah Seil. That's why you need to have the Aveda of Kabbalah Seil. Now, Mikomakim Hari Gam Be'ifin Shoditza. It also has this like this chukka. Lasis to do the Abishur's will. And through this, Zeichem Aritza, the Kras Agula Mitzvah Shlem, I demonstrate that Kenu, B'Menenu, B'Skenenu, B'Menenu, Nesinu, B'Meheda, B'Yamenu, Mamish. Okay, I know some people came a little bit. I just want to do a recap of the Maimer so we have it clear. Okay, so as we said, the second this year's Ois is Ois Yudalid, and we from already Tafshin Lamed Aleph, the Rebbe started going on a second cycle of explaining every year a different Ois. So this year, the Ois would be Perek Yudalid, which we explained that this Ois speaks about V'atam Mechayas Kulam, speaks about the Eir Eliki, which is Mechaya the Nivroim. Now, the Maimer that we just finished now is explaining the connection between the Chayis and the level of Eir. Right? We're saying that the Chayis that comes down is the level of Eir. On the other hand, you're saying that the Chayis of a thing is the shame. So when you say the Chayis of a thing is Or, that means that the Chayis is in a revealed way. And on the other hand, you're saying that Chayis is the shame, which is concealment, which is polar opposites. Okay, and also, so that's the Teichen of the Maimer. So just to make a recap. Okay, so the first part of the Maimer, as the Rebbe always does, is that he makes a sikum till the Ois that he wants to explain. So in the beginning, he explained the first 13 Prakim of Basi Ligani, and he explained the purpose of why the Eid comes down to this world. And even though the Liki comes and it's Mizgala everywhere, it does not change. Not like Koyach, that when Koyach comes down and is Mislabish in the Nivra, there is a change. Mashenkin there's no change. And he explains in Perek Yud Gimel that yes, the comes down Behelim, but through the Aveda of a Yid, he's Mizgala the Now then, the Rebbe explained from the Alter Rebbe that there's three Lashonos. You have the Lashon of Chayis, and Koyach. There's three ways of how to describe the vitality of something. Now, the Mittel Rebbe explained that so Chayis, and Koyach, obviously Koyach is the lowest Madrega, that it's separated from its Makar. Chayis is a higher level of vitality, so it's connected to its Makar, and therefore when it comes into the Nivra, it's in a way of Gilei, which is a pneumistic way. And then you have the highest level of Ein Hamar, which we said, the it's, when you see the you see the Makar as well, but it's only in a Makiftik way. Now, then the Rebbe explained, that's till Perek Hey. Until Perek Hey, the Rebbe explained that, which is the Teichen of it, which is a lot of the Maimer, is that you're saying that the Alter Rebbe is saying, and the Mittel Rebbe is saying that there's three levels of Chayis, Chayis, and Koyach. The Cha'ira, there's also a fourth level of Chayis, which is name, Shem, as the Baal Shem Tov says, that a name is not only, we're just calling it by chance, the name of that creation, whatever it's called, is giving that object, that nivra, vitality. As the Maggid said, that kol asher yikra le'odam nefesh chayu shmoi, that means that the shmoi of that nivra is mechayit. So how does that fit with what we're explaining now, that the chayis is in a level of the chayis is a level is shem. And then he explains that, as we said, that and shem is polar opposites. Shem is helim, and is gilei. Okay, so then the nekuda in the beginning of Perek Vav, which we said yesterday, is that chayis and Ivroim is the level of shame, is because there's a maila of shame legabe Now, so which means that like the name, we get to the etzim, and we brought different examples of when somebody faints. So how do you revive him? You revive him by calling his name. So the name, even though it's Helam, doesn't describe the essence of a person, but through that you can actually get to the level of etzim. But the Maila of Shem, how is it really Mizgala? That is through the level of And then today we learned from the Tzemach Tzedek, Vahi B'Shalach Paras Ha'am, which that is Meramis, that through the Yidden going, we're asking a question, why does it say Vahi B'Shalach Paras Ha'am and not Vahi B'Shalach Paras Yisrael? So he explains that that's Meramis, that through the Yidden going in Galus Mitzrayim, and refining the Netzutzos, which means that the Netzutzos of Mitzrayim, as we know, were B'tachas Helim, just like a shame, but the Aliyah that came through that is dafka through shame. The Aliyah, the great Aliyah that came through the Netzutzos of shame is dafka through the level of And he explains the connection between shame and Pepratius. He brings from the Reb Marash, as we said, that the is Meina Mar, and after through that you can get the Mar, but it's only Ha'ora, it's not the Etzim. Shame is not, there's not a revealed Chayis, but it's Mushrish in the Etzim. And then he explains that we really need to have both. We need to have the Chayis of shame. That explained, you need to have both. That the chayis in the level of shame is very, very high, but it's helim. And through the chayis of you're able to migala the shame. When you have both milas, you have the mila of etzim, and you have the mila of gilei. And then he brought also what Rabbi Leivik said, that as we explained yesterday, that the Rebbe's father says that he took even names, even Goyish names, and he explained that it's not just by coincidence, but there's something Ruchnius, there's a Chayas Ruchni that's giving Chayas to this thing. All right, have a good day. I'm sorry I couldn't make it today. Just